This lesson we're going to be talking about comparing fractions. There's a lot of ways to compare fractions, and during the guided practice I'm going to show you a few of the different ways to compare fractions. And on problems 1 through 4 we're going to use the greater than, less than, or equal to signs to show which fraction is greater. Okay, on problem number 1 I have 3/4, 3/4, and 6/8. So I'm going to try to figure out is 3/4 greater than, less than, or equal to 6/8. So we're going to do the cross multiplying. So 4 times 6 is 24, and 8 times 3 is 24 also. So that means those fractions are equal. Those are equal fractions. Okay, on problem number 2, okay, I'm going to talk to you about strategy. We know with fractions we're breaking the whole down into parts. And the bottom number, the denominator, is how many parts we're breaking the whole down into. So 1/4 of a pizza is going to be larger than 1/10 of the pizza. So one of the tricks we can do when we're comparing fractions, if we have the same numerator, whichever one has the smallest denominator is going to be the largest fraction. So that's saying that 1/4 is greater than 1/10. Problem number 3. I'm going to use cross multiplying on this problem. So 5 times 5 is 25, and 10 times 3 is 30. That's telling me, since I have a 30 over here and a 25 over here, that's telling me that this fraction right here is going to be the largest fraction. So 3/5 is larger than 5/10. Something else we could do is we could also look at this. 5/10. 5/10 is equal to 1/2 because the numerator is half the denominator. And 3/5 on 3/5, 3 is more than half of 5. So that means this fraction is going to be larger than 1/2. We'll use that same strategy on this since I'm working with a half. 4/5 and 1/2. We know 1/2 is equal to 1/2. 4/5 is going to be greater than 1/2 because 4 is larger than half of 5. So we do the less than symbol right there. Problem number 5. Mary says that 1/8 is greater than 1/4 because 8 is greater than 4. Is this correct? And explain your answer. And this goes back to this question right here, question number 2. We have 1/4 and 1/8. Okay, on this one, our whole is broken down to 8 parts. On this one, the whole is broken down to 4 parts. They both have the same numerator, so whichever one has the smallest denominator is going to be the largest. So that means 1/4 is greater than 1/8. Problem number 6. Mr. Arnold uses wood measuring 1 foot, 1/3, and 3/8 to build a birdhouse. Compare these lengths of wood. And right here we have 3 fractions. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to compare all these fractions to 1/2. Okay, we know 1/2 is equal to 1/2. 1/3 is going to be less than that because there are two different reasons. Because they both have the same numerator, and the 2 is smaller than the 3, so that means 1/2 is larger than that. So so we know that 1/3 is less than 1/2. We can go back over here to this one right here, 3/8. 3 is less than half of 8. Okay, the fraction that's equivalent to 1/2 of the denominator of 8 would be 4/8. So 3/8 is larger, or is smaller than 1/2 also. So 1/2 is going to be my largest piece of wood that we have right there. So the next thing we could do is we could compare 1/3 and 3/8. We know they're both less than 1/2. So what I want to do is go ahead and cross multiply on this. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 8 times 1 is 8. So that right there is telling me, since I have a 9 above my 3/8, and I have an 8 above my 1/3, that 3/8 is going to be larger than 1/3. So 3/8 is going to be my next largest piece of wood. And then I have 1/3. And that is listed that's listed from greatest to least. Okay. Going down to my other problems. I'm going to do the ones, or we're going to do the ones together that are highlighted in green, and you're going to go back and do the ones that are highlighted in yellow on your own. So, I have 3/10 and 7/10. Okay, it's really easy to compare fractions that have the same denominator. If they have the same denominator, the one with the largest numerator is going to be my largest fraction. So 3/10 is going to be less than 7/10. Same thing on this problem right here. Problem number 12, I have 7/12 and 4/12. This is 7 pieces that are the same size as these 7 equal pieces, same as these 4 equal pieces right here. So 7/12 is going to be larger. Now I have, we have the opposite rule right here. We have the rule where they have the same numerator. Okay, if they have the same numerator, the one with the smallest denominator is going to be the largest. So that's telling me that 3/5 is larger than 3/6. On this problem right here, 2/4 and 8/10. I can compare both those to a half. I know 2/4 is equal to a half. 8/10 is going to be greater than a half because 5/10 is equal to a half, and 8 is larger than half of 10. So 2/4 is less than 8/10. Problem number 10. Problem number 10. We're going to talk about 2 different things on this one. Okay, you can cross multiply. If we cross multiply, 8 times 3 is 24. And 4 times 7 is 28. So that makes 7/8 larger. But we can also talk about how far they are from the whole. Okay, 7/8 is only 1/8 away from being at a whole, and 3/4 is a fourth away from getting to a whole. So since this is only 1/8 away from being to one whole, and this is 1/4 away from being to one whole, it's going to take 3/4 a little bit longer to get to a whole. So that's telling us that 7/8 is greater than 3/4. On 6, or 2/6 and 3/12. On this one, I think I'm just going to go ahead and cross multiply on this. So 6 times 3 is 18, and 2 times 12 is 24. So that's telling us that 2/6 is going to be greater than 3/12. 5/6 and 4/5. Okay, I'm going to use the same thing. How far does it take to get to a whole? That's only 1/5 of getting to a whole, and this is 1/6 away from getting to the whole. So that's telling me that this one's going to be greater. 6 times 4 is 24, and 5 times 5 is 25. So this one's going to be greater. Okay, on number 22, I'll just go ahead and cross multiply on this one. So I've got 9 times 1 is 9, and 3 times 3 is 9. That's telling me those two are equal. Let's go ahead and look at the second page. Okay, Felicia drew the picture at the right to show that 3/8 is greater than 3/4. Okay, what was Felicia's mistake? Okay, and on this one right here, what her mistake is she didn't make the models the same size. This model is much larger than this model. So that's what's going to tell us that that's where she made a mistake at. And we can cross multiply just to check. 3/8 and 3/4. A couple other things. You can see this is less than a half, and this is greater than a half. But we'll go ahead and cross multiply. 4 times 3 is 12, and 3 times 8 is 24. So 3/4 is actually the greater fraction. Problem number 24. Why can you compare two fractions with the same denominator only by comparing the numerators? Okay, we can do that because each piece is the same, so whichever one has the most pieces is going to be larger. So let's say because they're same size Same size pieces. Okay, number 25. What can you conclude about 3/5 and 12/20? If you know that 3/5 is equal to 6/10 and that 6/10 is equal to 12/20. Okay, basically because these two are equal and these two are equal, that's going to make those two equal because they're both equal to 6/10. Problem number 26. Which is larger, 1/4 foot or 1/4 of a yard? And explain. Well, say that's a foot right there, and this, we know a yard is actually 3 feet. So 1/4 of a foot is only going to be this part. 1/4 of a yard is still larger, basically because they're different size models. So that's telling us that 1/4 of a yard is larger. Okay. Number 27. If 34 times 2 is 68, then what does 34 times 20 equal? And 34 times 20 is going to equal 680 because we got extra place value right there, so we're going to add extra place value to our product. And number 30 is the next one we're going to do. You're going to end up doing 28, 29 on y'all's own. Okay. The numbers are missing from the graph at the right. Comparing the bars to decide which farmer has about 1/3 as many cows as Mr. Harris. Okay, and this is Mr. Harris's cows right here. We're trying to find the one that has 1/3 the amount of cows that Mr. Harris has. If we look at Mr. Hall, okay, Mr. Hall looks like he has about half as many. So we're going to mark off Mr. Hall. Okay, and we're trying to find a fraction that's 1/3 as many. So probably the best thing to do is go ahead and try to separate Mr. Harris's into thirds. Okay, right there and right there. Those look like about 3 equal pieces. And Mr. Carr has quite a bit less than that. It looks like he has less than 1/4 the cows that he has. So this farmer right here looks like he has about the same amount as 1/3. So that's Mr. Blake, it looks like. So Mr. Blake has